welcome to the first episode of the Knitty Heather podcast. My name is Heather and I'm coming to you from my home in Kent, Washington, where I live with my husband and our Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, Pepper. Today is Monday, April 20th, 2020. A lot of crazy things going on in the world right now. I am a preschool teacher. I teach 3 and 4-year-olds, and as my school was closed for the rest of the school year, I decided to take this opportunity to learn something new, try to learn some new video editing skills, and to join the Fiber community, the podcaster community. I know there's just so many wonderful people out there, a lot of podcasters already. Think of me as an enthusiastic cheerleader, supporter, promoter of all indie dyers, makers, and designers in the fiber community. I just have been loving knitting since 2012 when I taught myself through YouTube, and I've just been in love with it ever since. Today I am wearing my audition shawl. This was a mystery knit along that I did last fall with one of my local yarn shops, Maker's Mercantile. This pattern is by Michelle Hunter, Knit Pearl Hunter, and it was so much fun. Today I'm also wearing some socks I finished last month. This is from the Cozy Knitter. It was her Yarn of the Month colorway, and it is called Wonder. Last month I was supposed to be going to Vogue Knitting Live in Seattle, but that was canceled. I felt incredibly bad for all of the dyers and other makers who had been working so hard getting prepped and getting all their inventory ready for the marketplace. But thankfully, we were able to do an online virtual marketplace. So I was able to support a few of my favorite local dyers who I would have gone to their booth had I been able to go to Vogue Knitting Live. It was so sad. It was going to be my first big knitting convention, but we'll have to wait till next year. I actually did just get an email yesterday saying that it's going to be rescheduled for April 2021. So I'm very excited about that. So one of the people who I wanted to support was Sugar Plum Circus. Her name is Jensen. Here's her label. I've used one of her colors in a different shawl before, and she was super great. In fact, all these ladies I'm about to talk about were wonderful. I, was looking online and was trying to decide, colors to go together for certain shawl patterns. I was especially interested in purchasing some yarn for shawls. And I messaged them. I said, what do you think about these 2 colors? And she was so great. She suggested these 2 colors. This is Rachel. And this is Robin's Nest. And I would have never put these 2 colors together, but now that I see them, I think they're going to make a wonderful shawl. The shawl that I want to make with them is called Combinatorics, and I'll put that information on the screen. Another dyer I really wanted to support is Wendy of Hazel Knits. I've used her yarn a couple times and it's just beautiful. So this is her blueprint base. It is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. This color is henna. And this color is husk. And I'm going to put them together for the All About That Brioche shawl. And I will put a picture of that right here too. And then a couple months ago, I was able to meet, when she was doing a trunk show, Nancy of Trilogy Yarns. And she's out of Spokane. And she helped me put together this lovely color palette. This is Lincoln Park. This is Titan. And this is Whiskey. And And originally I was going to do the 3-color cashmere cowl by Joji Locatelli, but I'm actually thinking of doing a different Joji pattern. I think I'm going to do her suburban wrap with these 3 colors. I just think that will be so pretty. So those are some purchases I was thankfully able to make. Hopefully next year we'll be able to hold all the Vogue Knitting Lives in all the cities. But I'm especially looking forward to hopefully going to Vogue Knitting Live Seattle next April. So now I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of my whips, my works in progress. I have 1 shawl and 3 pairs of socks that I'd like to talk about today. My shawl is called Pure Joy by Joji Locatelli. This cute little progress keeper is by Simply Serving, a little donut coffee cup. And I'm almost done with this. I have 1 more little wedge that will be in the contrasting color. And it's been such an enjoyable knit. Very relaxing, a beautiful shape. I can't wait to have this off the needles and be able to wear it. The yarn I'm using, my main color, and this is all I have left of it, is Knit Pick Stroll in their pearlescent tonal colorway. And then my contrasting color is 3 Irish Girls in their Adorn Luxe base. The colorway is Kraken. And it's just kind of a pretty tealy, a little more bluey than green. I just love it. I am hoping to have plenty left over to do something else with the rest of this yarn. My first sock whip I'd like to tell you about is Desert Vista Dye Works. I'm participating in her monthly sock club. And so this is what it looks like so far. She is one of the best self-striping dyers out there. There's a lot of wonderful self-stripers out there. Desert Vista Dye Works is one of my personal favorites. This cute cake progress keeper is by Sucre Miniatures. The colorway is called Chrysanthemum, based on the artwork from the children's book. And I just thought this was so perfect and springy, with some yellows and pinks and oranges. The pattern I'm using is the Union Square Socks by Mina Phillip, the knitting expat. And it's so fun. I'm only doing it on the front. You can do it on the back of the sock as well, but the back I'm just leaving plain. I thought doing a pattern sock, I haven't done very many pattern socks before. I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to be able to do it. Is it going to just like totally throw me off my groove? This is not hard at all. It looks very difficult, but it is not. It's simple stitches to kind of come together for this beautiful, almost like floral with the cute little yarn over holes. And I think for the most part, it's lining up really nicely with the stripes. It's a very good pattern to use self-striping yarn with. So again, this is Desert Vista Dye Works. My April socks for her monthly sock club in the colorway Chrysanthemum. Could not be happier. I'm using a contrast toe and heel in a pink mini from one of her mini sets. I think her March mini set. And I thought it went really, really well. It's pretty much goes perfectly with the darker pink in the main yarn. And it's a German short row heel she has you do in the pattern, which was difficult for me at first when I first started doing German short rows. Sometimes you can get a hole in the corner, but I felt like she, especially in this pattern, really helped you pick up a few extra stitches to close up some of those gaps that you can get and just really make it look neat and tidy. I also did her modified heel flap adjustment, which just gives you a little bit more room sometimes short row heels can be a little bit tight on folks, and so I thought I'd see how this fits. And I was able to kind of sneak this over my foot by just putting the sock, on the cord, and it fits very, very comfortably. I'm super happy with it so far. I have the other one that I'm working on in tandem. They should be done no problem by the end of the month. I'm looking forward to getting another month done for the Desert Vista Dye Works Monthly Sock Club. Next up is from another one of my very favorite self-striping dyers, the Cozy Knitter. This is her last installment of her Yarn of the Month club. It is called Wildest Dreams, and oh my goodness, how much do I love these colors. These are just so bright and cheerful. And wild, I think Wildest Dreams is the perfect name for this colorway. I'm especially loving the pink coming out of the orange, and then the greens and blue tones kind of just tone it down a little bit. She usually sends a contrasting mini for heels, toes, and cuffs. So I started with the toe. This time I did a Fish Lips Kiss heel, which is one of my favorite go-to short row heels, especially for toe up socks, which as you can see, I'm doing toe up, 2 at a time. And I just love this yarn so much. Her yarn in general is just very squishy. You can tell when working with it that it's really nice and plump, so soft to wear. I just can't say enough good things about Christina of the Cozy Knitter. She just does a wonderful job. I am super pleased with how the stripes are lining up. I try to do my best. I'm a little bit anal, to be honest, about trying to get all of my colors to line up on both socks so they match as perfectly as possible. And I think these are going super well. I'm absolutely in love with these and hope to get these done by the end of the month as well. The last sock I'd like to talk about is by Hypnotic Yarn. This is her latest yarnable colorway. She does another monthly subscription, her yarnable box, and this colorway is called Hocus Crocus. I don't have hardly any socks. I don't think I have any socks that stripe like this. How fun is that? I am loving how this yarn is working up. Her colors, what I love especially about Hypnotic Yarn is just how bright and rich and saturated her colorways are. She just somehow gets the brightest colors. The pattern I'm using is Socks on Flexible Double Point Needles by Stacey Perry, Very Pink Knits, who is one of my absolute favorite people in the knitting community. She just is wonderful, and she has a lot of instructional videos out there, and I just highly recommend you check her out, verypink.com. But anyway, these are on Addy Flexi Flips, which work kind of like double point needles, but they are flexible. So you just have 2 needles going and then you work across with the third. And they were a little clunky for me to start with. This is only the second time I've used needles like this, but you get used to them, I would say. I typically am a magic loop sock knitter, but this I just thought I'd try something else. I wanted to support Stacey with her new pattern, and I definitely feel like I've gotten used to them over the last week or so that I've been working on these. So, I mean, seriously, how pretty. So with these, she has you kind of do a fleagle heel, as you can hopefully kind of tell. It's a little more of a triangle shape heel. Works up very, very gradually. So again, there's hardly any holes or gaps in your work. And I'm really loving the fleagle heel as well. So again, these are socks on Flexi Flips or Flexible Double Point Needles by Stacey Perry. in the Hocus Crocus colorway by Hypnotic Yarn. So now I'd like to talk to you about a couple of my FOs, finished objects. The first is a shawl, and it is called Pendulum. This is a pattern by Amy Miller. And I just think it's super cool. I saw this just around Ravelry and other places online, and I thought that just looks like such a fun pattern. I was just sort of stash diving. I looked through just some of my fingering weight and came up with these two colors. I would have never put them together, but I just kind of thought, you know what? This green really brings out the green speckles in this gray color. So this gray color is Sugar Plum Circus in her Pendulum colorway. I think that's how you say it. And then this lovely, beautiful tonal green is Zen Yarn Garden in their Serenity Silk. I think the color is called Romy's Garden. Just beautiful. I love how the tonal green plays with all the speckles in the gray color. It's a super wearable shape, and I'm just really looking forward to wearing this more. The last FO I'd like to tell you about was technically my Christmas Eve cast on. I really did cast these on Christmas Eve, but I did not finish them until like 2 weeks ago or so. This is Yarn Cafe Creations in her Santa's Almost Here colorway. This was a special sock set she did specifically to use as a Christmas Eve cast on. And again, I did, but there were other things that came up, and I just recently picked these back up to finish them. I do absolutely love, this is her biscotti sock base, and it is so soft. It's just got these light speckles on this blue with this pretty pink accent. I did a traditional heel flap and gusset for these guys, which was part of the vanilla latte pattern I used. I will put the name of the designer, because I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I will put the designer for the vanilla latte sock up there so you can see. Again, another very fun, simple pattern. If you're looking for just a little something beyond a plain stockinette vanilla sock, I highly, highly recommend this pattern. And with just a few purl stitches here and there, does make a huge difference in the fit, having a little bit of ribbing. So I just have been loving wearing these and couldn't be happier with them at all. So thank you so much for joining me on my first episode. I hope it wasn't too clunky for you. I'm learning, I'm working on it, so thank you for bearing with me. As I said, I just am a huge yarn knitting nerd, and I just love talking about all things knitting. I do a little bit of crochet I'll talk about in future episodes. I am primarily a knitter, and again, just in love with the craft. I absolutely love making things, seeing how the stitches come together, seeing how yarn works up. And I just get very excited about all that. And I am in awe of anybody who dyes yarn, who designs patterns, who makes bags and other notions that we use. I am not crafty in that way. So I just, again, could not appreciate everybody who does those things anymore. Just give you all the respect and praise that you deserve. So thank you for everything you do. If you are an indie dyer or maker or designer, anybody who puts their creativity and love out there so we can make beautiful things. I hope to see you again soon in the next episode. Please follow me on Instagram at Knitty Heather. And until then, happy knitting.